I am blue, you are bright and shiny in my mind. You got me loving, hating, crazy indecision in my mind.
Welcome to the Fall Podcast, where the focus is on deer hunting, tips, tricks, tactics, and stories from across the Midwest. And now, here is your host, Aaron Blasey.
Welcome to the Fall Podcast. I am your host, Aaron Blasey, and this is episode number 77. And I'm on the phone again by myself today. Justin is still out doing some stuff. He's hunting, and he's back seeing some family right now, so he's taking a little break and getting ready for the fall. But today I have a fellow Michigander on, Tyler Bentley from the Rise Digital Hunting Series on YouTube. So this one's a really cool podcast. We talk a lot about Michigan, but we also get into some out-of-state hunting, such as Missouri. And he got a new lease this year in Missouri, and he's setting that up, and he's going to go out there early season and hunt that over some beans. So it's a pretty cool podcast. I know it's a little late. I was supposed to have it out Monday, but I had my daughter's birthday this last weekend, and a lot of stuff going on at work with editing and everything, so I'm just trying to get all that stuff squared away. So the podcast, I know it's about a day or two late, but I think you guys will understand. Today's a cool podcast. I hope you guys really enjoy it. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. So without further ado, here is Tyler Bentley.
I am natural.
All right, on the phone with me today is a fellow Michigander, Tyler Bentley. Tyler, how's it going, man?
Good, man. How's it going?
Good. I just talked about the busy week and weekend that I've been having, and obviously we're recording today on Monday, and this should be going out this morning, but I've been jam up, and you and I've been trying to get together the last week, and here we are. So it's going to be a couple days late, but I think everybody will understand. So, before I had one of your colleagues, I guess you could say, or one of your buddies on, Alex Nadolski, of the Rise. And, as I've been watching what you guys have been doing on social and on YouTube and everything and all your content creating, I'm like, man, I need to get this guy on. He's grinding out there, and he's doing a lot of cool things in Michigan. And I see that you're setting up a new farm here in Missouri, which is cool because I've hunted quite a bit in Missouri, so I'd kind of like to touch on that as well. But before we get too far, I want you to introduce who you are and where you're from and what you do for a living here, so everybody can kind of understand.
My name is Tyler Bentley. I'm founder of the Rise bow hunting series on YouTube called The Rise. I was born and raised in Michigan, Michigan whitetail hunter. And it's pretty tough hunting around here.
Yeah. So were you born and raised on the east side of the state? Whereabouts are you?
I'm central Michigan. In between about like Flint and Saginaw. It's Genesee County.
Okay. Yep. You're in a good whitetail county for Michigan then.
Yeah, good whitetail county, but way too many people.
Well, I think that's just about anywhere you go around here, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems that way.
So, like I referred to earlier, I had Alex Nadolski on, one of your team members from the Rise. Now, can you kind of dive into a little bit of like what the Rise is? It's an online bow hunting show that you're doing, but like what makes it unique? Opposed to everybody else out there. Like, what have you guys done a little differently, and what was your approach with it?
So we wanted to find a way for us to differentiate ourselves from, all these other hunting shows in the industry. Seems like everybody just looks so similar, doing the same things, whispering in a tree stand, trying to do something different. So a couple of years back, we came up with this idea, and we call it our segment series. And what it is, it's 100 days is one day that passes represents 1% of the season. And there's 7 segments. So we break that 100 days down into 7 segments, and we post them bi-weekly on YouTube. Like basically a YouTube segment series is what we call it.
Okay. So then, if you're doing it bi-weekly, so are you guys filming for like the whole week, whoever's out hunting, you said you got 5 team members, whoever's out hunting, are you guys constantly just editing that and pushing towards one segment until it pushes out in the following week that you'd be filming it? Is that what it is?
Yeah, for the most part. So basically, for example, like our first segment this year starting September 15th, and that'll go to September 30th. So
Gotcha.
it's roughly like a 14, 15-day segment. And then we give ourselves, we just normally like round up to the closest, like Wednesday. We try to post them like on Wednesday.
Yep.
So every team member goes out, films their hunts, films what's going on, whether they have an eventful hunt or not. They put it together in a timeline, submit it to me, and then I master everybody's footage all into like one segment.
Gotcha. So you actually have a delegated, like, set amount of days. So the first segment's going to be from September 15th to the 1st of October possibly, and then so the next segment would be from October 1st to the 14th. Is that what you're looking for?
Exactly.
Gotcha. And then you're just breaking it down. So you're actually relying on your guys to be able to at least rough cut it or even get it real close to the finished product, editing-wise, right?
Yeah, as much as they can. They're not doing any of the fine-tuning. They're more or less just, if they go out there, they see a good buck or have a good encounter or, blow a tire on the trailer, whatever it may be, whether it's eventful or non-eventful, they're trying to tell the story the best way they can, put it in a timeline, and then they submit that to me, and then I'll basically master it and fine-tune it and try to make it relevant as a story, kind of as a whole, because we're telling a story of 5 guys every week. So it's a really complex process, but a lot of work goes into it, but it turns out pretty cool.
Yeah, and it could be a lot of jumping around too, because I deal with it as well. I mean, we'll have 3, 4, 5 guys in the stand at one time in different states. So it's like trying to figure out what that storyline is and the good way to transition from each, one guy to the next. What I like about it is it's all sequential order. You know what I mean? So whatever happened on November 5th, whoever hunted in that day, you're going to see what happened on that day throughout the course of the series, So that's what's cool about it for me. And I think a lot more people, relate to that because the season isn't all broke up into just like the days that you kill. There's so much more storyline that goes into the days that you don't, the days that you're grinding it out. Like, you could go 13, 14 days without seeing a shooter buck. And then on the 15th day, a lot of shows are just showing that 15th day because that's when they obviously took their deer. But it's like, what was the storyline getting to that portion?
Right.
And that's what I like about it. And I think a lot of people at home can relate to that, like I said, because, I mean, they're out there grinding, and it's all about relatability and, and it's the hunting season is a grind. We do all this work in the off season, and it's just like it seems like when it gets here, you're like, oh, I just want to sit in a tree stand and enjoy it, which you do. But man, it can be grueling too. I mean, getting skunked, days after day, and maybe you get that one opportunity and you miss, and like it's tough.
For sure, and that's kind of one of the things we're trying to do with this segment series is keep it as relatable as possible. I think last year might have been segment 5 or segment 6 that we didn't have a deer kill on, and we showed 4 guys for 2 segments, over 30 minutes of footage or 20 minutes of footage, and there was no deer kill there. But as much as it's we're not trying to lose viewers on kill every single segment, we want to keep it as real and relatable as possible, especially like Michigan hunters can definitely relate to going out and not killing a deer a couple times a year, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
we're having fun with it, and we're trying to keep it as real as possible, I guess.
Definitely. Well, speaking of Michigan hunters, I see that you have a lot of renovations going to your Michigan farm right now, according to IG and YouTube and everything. So break it down for me, man. What do you got going on? You're putting new blinds in. You're putting some new food plots in. What's the game plan for your Michigan farm this year?
Dude, I'm throwing everything I got at it this year. I feel like I've already tried everything I'm doing right now, but I'm just trying to just keep going, keep pushing. And anyone who wants Michigan knows how hard it is to try to even hunt a mature deer in Michigan. Just outside of the suburbs. It's not really the most ideal hunting property, but, where is in Michigan? Everybody that hunts here knows how hard it is to hunt. But
right.
We put in food plots the last few years, and we've done that, and it just seems like every year we're just making the food plots a little bit bigger or adding a little more bedding and trying to just keep picking at it and doing more and more we can every year. But this year my buddy Matt and I, we just went nuts, dude. We cut all kinds of trees down. We went from like 1.5 acres of food there to maybe 4.5, maybe
Holy
5.
cow.
Oh yeah, it was bad. We did a lot of damage out there, and it looked kind of scary at first. but it's starting to look better now. I got probably 3 acres of beans we put in, maybe an acre and a half. I don't know. There's a lot of food there. I don't have it all measured out exactly,
Yep.
but we're kind of relying on late season. That's kind of what we're hoping for. We thought, every year, late season, if there's beans, it just seems these deer just pile into these bean fields, and you see the neighbors, they cut their beans and there's still deer in them. So
Right.
Michigan, anyone who knows, this year Michigan was awful for getting food in the ground for farmers. So many farmers didn't plant. If there was ever a year to capitalize on deer food and food plots, it's this year. With the baiting ban that's going on, none of these farm fields getting planted. If you can put food plots on your property this year in Michigan, it was going to make a huge difference.
Dude, I agree, man. And it's just been dry.
Yeah.
Well, we got a ton of rain, like you said, early. And now it's been so dry. Like, I planted 3 fall plots, within the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm just praying right now. I was back there yesterday, and it's starting to pop a little bit, but literally it's popping because of the dew. Luckily, we're getting cold mornings, and the dew has been so thick, and it's actually starting to pop through. So I'm like, okay, this might work, and we're supposed to get some rain tonight, and it's supposed to be 80% chance of rain tomorrow. So man, I'm hoping and praying still that these things will pop a little bit more, and they'll actually bud out. So we'll see.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm in the same boat. All my stuff's pretty much planted, and I'm just hoping for rain. I think everybody is.
Yeah. So, your Michigan farm, break it down for everybody that, obviously can't see it. Paint the best audio picture you can, if you will. Like, how big is it? What does it consist of? And, what's your basically long-term goal for this year for it?
So picture about the worst hunting property you can in your head. As far as like neighbors go, I think I have 7 neighbors that touch my piece.
Oh, wow.
All the way around, and they all own 2-acre parcels with a half acre of woods.
Yep.
And in gun season, they're all hunting the edges of my property. So just try to think of the worst possible scenario ever, and that's pretty much what I'm hunting. So
how many acres do you have?
So I think it's close to 30, but there's about 20 or 25 just on the south side of the railroad tracks. There's railroad tracks that run all the way down the one side of my property.
Okay.
So it's kind of landlocked. You have to cross the railroad tracks to get onto my property. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of parcels that touch it in the back. But
yep. So do you live on the property as well?
I do not. My mom owns assisted living homes. We have 18 assisted living homes in Genesee County.
Okay.
And one of those homes has that big parcel behind it. So I kind of got lucky on that.
Gotcha. Okay. So obviously, you were saying you're touched by every rifle hunter in Genesee County, it sounds like. So it's hard to get deer to be passed up probably and get to an older age class. So what are you striving to hopefully get, on this property? Are you looking for a 2-year-old? Are you looking for a 3-year-old? Does that not really matter? What's your criteria when it comes to that?
Yeah, I would say, 3.5-year-old in Michigan is a pretty fair, realistic is kind of what I'm shooting for the most part. Just because the amount of pressure that's there, QDMA, they say kill the top 10%, or target the top 10%. Well, if I targeted the top 10%, I'd be hunting a 1.5-year-old every year. There's just no deer there, unfortunately, just because there's so many hunters and stuff like that. But no, I can't bring it. I can't kill a 2.5-year-old deer, 1.5-year-old deer and be happy just because I got spoiled hunting out of state my whole life.
Yep.
So,
for sure.
So yeah, 2.5 is probably going to have to walk, and 3.5, 4.5 is kind of where I'm trying to shoot them.
I gotcha. So, do you have any of those deer that you're targeting? You don't have to be specific if you don't want, but are you getting excited? We're almost the season here. Is there something out there it's worth going for?
Yeah, man, definitely. So uniquely enough, there is a deer that I've had pictures of the last few years that I'm hunting this year. We called him Loki. I don't know how many nerds are out there that watch the Avengers and the Marvel series or not, but that's kind of the deer, or that's what we named him after, Loki.
Okay.
And he's actually 4.5 this year, and I saw him as a 1.5-year-old on November 15th. Got pictures of him at 2.5. Got pictures of him last year at 3.5, and I was going to try to kill him last year. But he was just a deer that was super good at staying alive, didn't live on my property, lived on a neighboring property. He would only come to mine to eat the food plots in the dark, and he'd go back to bed. So he was virtually unkillable, I guess. But yeah, he's 4.5 this year, and I couldn't believe it when I got pictures of him that he was still alive. I was mind blown, because I haven't got a picture of a 4.5-year-old deer on my property in probably 5 years. So this is a very unique thing, that I have a 20 acre parcel in one of the most heavily pressured areas, and I get to chase after a 4.5-year-old deer here in Michigan. So I'm very excited about that.
That's huge, man. Yeah, that's fun, because, I've said it before on my podcast here, the properties that I have 2 Michigan farms, and they're about 15 minutes apart, and it's 2 totally different terrains, 2 totally different, areas to hunt. One is all open, small woodlots, and one is big timber forever, and
Yeah.
one has about 3 bow hunters per square mile. The other one's probably got about 15 to 20 bow hunters per square mile. So, and it's like, it's kind of weird. I mean, the one property is like, you're just like, oh, I hope I see, a good buck. And then you've got 3 of them show up that's, 130 or better, and you're consistently getting 3.5 to 4.5-year-old deer on camera and in the beans and all that stuff all year. And then the other one's like, I'm just scraping to get a couple deer on, to a 3.5-year-old. That's what and it's just 15 minutes apart, and it's the diversity between them is just crazy. But I totally know all about that. But the thing is once gun season comes, and you grew up in Michigan, so once November 15th hits, man, a lot of the areas that I've been in, it's basically a crapshoot. If you don't gun hunt, and if you don't kill a buck with your bow before gun season, you might as well take up gun hunting if you don't gun hunt, because it's the only way you're going to get an opportunity after the 15th. Now, I'm not saying there's not areas out there that you can't do that, and you can. There's a lot of good areas, but even on both of my parcels, there's gun hunters on every fence row, every corner. It seems like. So it's just luck of the draw, and hopefully those deer hunker down and get through another year,
Yeah. With that being said, how you're talking about, hunting after November 15th, I pretty much, give up at that point, unfortunately, because it's so bad. And last year I decided, well, I'll just keep hunting. I'll see what happens through the worst time of the year. I'll just keep bow hunting through this. And I actually got a look on a really good Michigan buck. I think it was like Christmas Eve, and I saw him again on Christmas Day last year. I think that was in like our 6th segment or 5th segment. And I never hunt those dates, but a light bulb kind of came on, like, holy cow, these deer that I thought I was never going to see again, kind of come back out of the woods around those dates, and they were hitting the beans. Yeah. So that's kind of where this whole idea came from, is, maybe if I just transitioned on getting a lot of beans on my property and kind of hunt those dates later in the year, maybe if I can't kill this deer early season, maybe I can late season. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah. And that's what's fun about the hunting. You pick up new things, it seems like, every time out. You're always, if you're not asking yourself why or how or what is that deer doing or why they're doing that, I think you might be doing yourself a disservice, if that makes sense. Like, every time I have a buck come out somewhere, it's like, well, why did he come out there? I got to figure that out, like dive a little deeper. And like you said, you never hunt those days around Christmas. Now you know something. It's like, okay, now I got to plant some beans, and, hopefully there'll be beans left for them in late season.
Right.
With that being said, right now we're coming up on September 1st, and it seems like it's always a scramble for me, like trying to get everything done, get my bow ready, you know what I mean? Trying to get your camo and everything, get everything lined out. Trying to put the final touches on that checklist. Right now, from a farm perspective, what are you doing right now to gear up for fall? I mean, what are your final checklists, I guess, on your farm that you're trying to lock all those doors and try to get all that stuff done right now?
So I just actually went out to my property a few days ago, and that was the last trip that I planned on making out there. I wanted to give the entire month of September, no pressure at all, because when that first cold front strikes in October, so last year it was on like October 2nd, which was awesome. Hopefully we get that again this year. But that first cold front in October, I want to be able to strike, and I want that whole month of September, no hunting pressure. I don't want to drive out there. I don't want to check a trail camera. So I really focused on August this year, to get anything and everything done. Everything's planted, everything's fertilized. I got a couple cameras out. I actually was almost considering opting out of running trail cameras this year completely, just because I didn't even want to risk that extra 1% of pressure going out to check my cameras. I wanted to keep this farm, the whole 20 acres, just a legit sanctuary for the whole month of September. So right now, actually, I'm not doing anything. I'm actually just chilling at the house and shooting my bow every single day and kind of just, doing the stuff. I mean, it's basically a waiting game at this point, I guess I would say.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm pretty proud of myself that I was actually able to get everything done and let the farm stay. I say it every year. I'm not going to go out there in September, but then, September 15th and you're dying to check a trail camera, dying to dying to do something. But,
Yep.
Are you doing more harm than good by trying to get that little bit of intel, but you're also pressuring those deer on that small piece. So, I'm chilling right now. I'm waiting for season.
Yeah. And I agree 100%, man. I mean, growing up, it was always September 1st. You got to be out of there. I don't want to set foot in the woods at all. I want everything to be good to go, and where I can come in October 1st, or like you said, that first cold front and hunt it. Well, what was it, 4 years ago, I got this new farm. And like I said, it's a lot of ag, and I call it my 1 acre farm, or the main farm. It's the same name, same farm, whatever. Well, a lot of ag, little timber, and it's hard to hunt. The access is tough. And I don't know if you know Jake Elinger at all from Southern Michigan, where he does the habitat work. He's a consultant for Habitat, and he'll come in and help you with your farm. Well, he came up and helped me a little bit a couple of winters ago doing some hinge cutting and everything, and really got me in, set in the right direction. And he was telling me, he's like, it's going to be hard to do, but you really got to stay off this farm. And he's like, it's hard to, put cameras out like you were saying and not go check them. And I just had to train myself last year. I said August 1st was the last day I'm going on the farm, and I'm not going back in until a cold front. And I did that. It was so hard. But I think what was helped me out, though, is because I had a new baby, and she took up all my time. You know what I mean? And It made it easier to not go out there. But I actually did take on something different that I normally didn't do, and it's scouting from a distance. Like, I'd just drive out. I'd get 700-800 yards away from the farm, on a different hill on a road, and I just, through the spotter, I would just look for the deer and just see what they were doing. And that kind of took the edge off. You know what I mean? I still saw the deer, even though I wasn't going out checking the cameras, so that helped out too. But man, the cold front that hit for us here in this part of Michigan was like October 10th, and I went in there that morning and I shot a 4-year-old. And
did you really?
Yeah, well, I screwed it up. I hit him bad. I've been hunting the deer for 3 years, and it was in the morning too, and it was cold, and it was the front end of the cold front, and I shot him, hit him high shoulder, tracked him for 2 days, and needless to say, I went through the rest of the season, and I saw him a couple more times, and he ended up getting hit by a car on December 18th, right on the edge of the farm. And I got a salvage tag. I was going to go get him, and by the time I got out of work and went and got him, somebody had already cut his antlers off. So I still never even got to see him up close, So that was kind of heartbreaking. But back to my less pressure thing, like you were saying, it is hard to do, like you said. It is something that's tough, but if you can do it, and I'm not just saying on these little woodlots, stuff like that, do it on your farm in general, especially in Michigan. Just stay the heck out and go in, and first time in is usually, they always say, it's your best one. And if you can get over that, I mean, that would be my number one thing, is like just less pressure. I got a buddy right now that lives down in the Lansing area, and he was sending me pictures last night of this. He's got 130, 140 inch 9-point right now that is regular, and he's like, what do I do? And I'm like, stay out of there. Yeah. I said, literally go in one day, hang a stand, make sure all your cameras are good, and do not go back in again until a cold front. He's like, I don't know if I can do that. And I'm like, you got to train yourself, because I can guarantee you the first couple sits, if you do it the right way, you'll either see him or you'll get an opportunity at him. That's just from my experience.
Definitely. And these deer are getting pushed around right now. Everyone wants to check their camera. Everyone
Exactly.
wants to get that last stand hung. Well, if you got a 20-acre block that's no hunting pressure, all these deer are getting pushed into it, and you're not going out there, well, you're just telling those deer it's okay to stay here this fall.
Right.
So,
Yep. And I understand, a lot of people buy land and they want to enjoy it, ride their four-wheelers on it, go out and, go for walks. I totally get that. But I guess you kind of got to maybe put a line on it. I'm not going to go back there after August 1st or something, and it's just one of those things. If you really want to take the next step into hunting and doing it the right way and not get so frustrated during the season, there will be frustration. There always will be, but if you can stay off the farm, it works, man. So, well, I have also seen that you and Matt especially have been spending a lot of time in Missouri and Iowa. What the heck's up with that? What do you guys got going on?
So I've been getting my butt kicked in Ohio the last 3 years. I've been down there hunting public ground, and that's been whooping me. So Matt's been a big advocate on, putting in for Iowa points, and he loves hunting Missouri, and he just loves that whole area out there. And I was looking for a lease this year, and Matt's like, man, don't do public ground in Ohio, go to Missouri. I'm like, man, I've never even been to Missouri. I don't know anything about it. How do I pick a lease, living 12 hours away or 10 hours away, whatever it is. And I kind of just rolled the dice. Something popped up online that looked pretty good. I think it was 86 acres, 90 acres. I don't know, somewhere in there. But it looked pretty good. It was kind of high priced. I bought it online. I can't remember exactly what it was. It's a little bit above 2,000. I think it might have been like $2,200 or something.
Okay.
So it was a little pricey, but it was one of those things like I can't really drive 10 hours and go knock on doors and, walk all these properties when I live this far away and work. And I was like, man, you know what? I'm just going to pay the money. It's unfortunate I have to do this, but at least I got my foot in the door out there. So I put a deposit down on this property. The next weekend, drove out there, walked it, and it's phenomenal. It looks awesome. I cannot wait to hunt it. I've been out there twice now since then to put cameras out and to hang stands, and that's kind of the same situation as here. Is I don't plan on going back out there. I'm not checking cameras, nothing like that. So, but I have that piece that's all set up, and it's ready to go for season. So I'm officially hunting Missouri and Michigan this year. That's my plan.
Dude, Missouri, is it northern Missouri?
It is. Yep.
Yeah, northern Missouri, man. I've hunted there for 3-4 years or whatever, and I've had some good hunts out there. It's great. I love the area. I don't know specifically where you're at, but northern Missouri in general is a great area. And did you buy it without even setting foot on it, or like put it down to? That's pretty risky.
Yeah, I know. It was one of those things. It was like if I didn't do it, then I was going to find a way to talk talk myself out of it.
Yeah, sometimes you got to take a leap just to do it, and then. But it's where I hunted was like exactly 10 hours from where I'm at here in Michigan, so it's a heck of an undertaking because I mean you're no matter what you're almost 2 days of driving there and back, so it's like you can't even go really on a long weekend unless you take work off. Not everybody has that luxury.
Right.
So it's nice. Did you find any locals down there, anything that you can trust that, might be able to help you out a little bit?
I did for sure. So that was another thing I was worried about, getting out that far, being 10 hours away from home. Matt's got an Iowa tag this year, so I'm going to be in Missouri potentially by myself. So another one of the Rise members, Nick Cohealy, he's new this year. He's like, man, I'd love to hunt Missouri. Well, I didn't really want to split, just because my lease isn't huge. And if I'm down there for the rut, I don't want to pressure a certain part of the farm. So I didn't really want to split my lease with anyone, but I would have loved for him to get, somewhere another lease additionally, maybe, 10, 20 minutes from me. So when I went down to hang stands, he hopped on my Rambo bike and went riding down the road. He went door knocking, and he knocked on the neighbor's door, and super nice dude. And we actually sparked a friendship up so much that the last time we went down, we actually stayed right at his house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, super, super cool dude. They're cattle farmers, and they farm a ton of cattle ground. And so Nick's actually got permission to hunt with him this year, so that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we can tow the camper down this year from Missouri, and actually his dad was saying that we can park the camper on their property. We can plug into their power pole. If we need water, he'll
Oh,
run a hose
man.
out for us. Yeah, we got the hookup.
You've got your cake and you can eat it too. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
That's
definitely chaps my ass a little bit though that Nick got permission for free and I just paid.
That's the karma for you not letting him get on your leash right there.
It was too, but no, I'm excited to have a buddy out there, and I just can't wait for fall.
Yeah. So what's your game plan coming into the fall? Like, what's your schedule going to look like? You going to start in Michigan in October, or are you going to go right to Missouri?
So I'm filming youth season in Michigan September 15th and 16th this year. And then we're doing our first trip down to Missouri September 19th. So that'll be the following weekend of after Michigan's youth season. So we're going to go down on like a Thursday night. I think the guys all got Friday off work. Head down to Missouri, do a long weekend, hunt Missouri that weekend. The neighbor down there told us that around that time, September 20th, around there, he's had pretty good success. He killed a lot of big deer down there around that time. And we're going to hit that and then come back to Michigan, obviously, on like a Sunday, and then just wait for that first cold front in October to hunt Michigan.
I gotcha. And what's your game plan going down there early season? Because, I mean, is that the earliest you've ever hunted is in September? Have you ever hunted in September?
I haven't. I did some filming in September. We used to go out to North Dakota early season. I think it was like the end of August. Season started like the last day of August or something. So a few years ago, we went out there and hunted North Dakota in early season, and it's definitely different. There's a lot of mosquitoes. It's as hot as crap. It's kind of miserable, but
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, what's your game plan in September? Are you going to try to get on some food, or are you going to get right tight to some bedding? Like, what's your game plan?
So my property in Missouri has a little over 50 acres of tillable. So there's quite a bit of tillable there, and everything's planted in beans. So I'm probably going to focus on hunting the edge of these crop fields. That's kind of what I'm hoping on.
Yep.
I got a decent piece of timber on the one side, and then all that big ag right in the middle. So if I can get set up somewhere in there where the deer are going to be coming to and from food, from bed, probably not moving too far. But that's kind of going to be my tactic for early season is, hunting those crop fields.
Yep. And I love early season, especially I call early season, in Michigan here, October 1st, try to get in there that first week of October. If you can get a deer on his same, pattern, bed to food pattern, or, it could be really beneficial. I try not to hunt mornings unless you've got a really good access to get in the mornings. Cause a lot of people say, and I believe it too, is you can do some harm doing that. But, what's your thoughts on that? Are you going to hunt any mornings or just stick to the evenings?
So as of right now, I definitely don't plan on hunting any mornings. But with that being said, I'm also going to be 10 hours away for 2 sits. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's kind of like, man, do I risk going in and hunting 2 more mornings? I get 4 sits out. You drive so far to hunt. So I would say as of now, I'm kind of not planning on it. But yeah, it might change once I'm down there and I realize I'm gonna sit, for 10 hours in the camper, until I get to go out again. I don't know.
Right. Did you ever think to possibly take some more stands and do some observation sits in the morning? Something where you're not really blowing up the whole farm, but you're still, have a chance of killing maybe, but still overlooking everything.
Yeah, I did toss that idea around a little bit. When I leased my property, judging by the aerial maps, it looks like, well, yeah, I'll be able to scout a bunch from the road. I can just kind of park, far away and do some scouting. Well, when I got down there, there's like a 10-foot bank all the way down the whole side of my property. So you cannot see in it at all from any roads, like not even close. So no matter what, I have to go up and over the cattle fence, the barbed wire, and kind of, it seems like there is good access because I have 2 access points, or actually 3 access points I can come in, but I don't know how I'm going to get in there and without doing damage. It's kind of tough.
I gotcha. Yeah, that can make it difficult. But if you do have somewhere where you can just get in a little higher, something just glass, or maybe even do a hang and bang, a hang and hunt or something, get in there and just do an observation sit. But yeah, it is tough, hunting mornings. I won't lie to you. You kind of want to stay in bed. But I agree with you. You get 10 hours away from home. You're spending all this money. It's like I don't want to shoot it right down the tube. You want to be able to go out and at least feel like you're doing something. All
right, I'm gonna have to take like a 20-foot ladder, set it in the bed of my pickup truck with some binoculars so I can see over that bank or something.
There you go. There you go. Or just go get a Diamondback truck cover so you can stand on the top or put something like that on top of it.
Yeah, there you go. That's perfect.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Yeah, so I also see with you guys are doing these video casts for for the Rise on YouTube. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
So what are you guys doing? What's your plan with those, and what are they basically?
So right now we're kind of just doing it to create more content, keep our viewers up to date with what we're doing, where we're hunting, and it's kind of something we're going to do primarily in the off season, not so much during the season. Because we're a seasonal hunting YouTube page, I guess you would call it, because we're, semi-live. So, we're dead focused on our segment series, all the way through the hunting season. And then we can do those video cast series in the off season. So that way we can produce content, throughout the entire year.
I gotcha. That's a good idea. And it gives you some FaceTime too, because, it's a lot different because you guys are doing it in the studio. I've been watching a couple of them. You guys have been doing it in the studio, so you can kind of get more of your personalities out there instead of like whispering in a tree, so people can relate a little bit more, and you can elaborate a little more on different things that, you might not be able to during the season within hunting and everything. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. We were joking around the other day in the studio. We were just filming another one, and we were talking about, it kind of feels a little awkward, sitting in front of the camera and talking, and we were joking around saying, these are the kids that weren't in drama class in high school or in middle school, and we didn't want to be in front of the camera. We were out hunting deer, and now all of a sudden we have to get in front of the camera and like try to act like happy and like, you know what I mean? It kind of feels goofy, but in the end, I think it's pretty good stuff and people enjoy watching it. So we like doing it.
For sure, man. Well, cool. I think we're gonna wrap this up here soon. I've got a couple more questions for you. Last episode, I did an episode with Chris and Casey. We had some listener submitted questions, and there were some couple good ones. So I want to run a couple by you and just get your answers on them. So The first one is: if you had 7 days to hunt throughout the fall, only 7, when are you taking time off work, and when are those 7 days? Are you gonna break them up, or are you gonna do them all 7 in one time?
Ooh, that's tough. Yeah, I remember that question, actually. I heard that. I don't know. I think that if you had 7 days to hunt the whole year, I mean, if you're able to, I would probably save them all for the rut. I mean, if you're going to have 7 days, go to one spot, then you can go into one spot of, for example, like Big Timber in Ohio or something, go in there every single day and do some rattling in the rut. I think that's probably the best odds you're going to have at successfully killing a big buck compared to a couple days early season, a couple days middle season, a couple days late season, I guess. So I would say I would put all your chips in one pot, going in the rut and hunt 7 days. That's what I would say.
Yep. All right. So if you had one call to take in the rut, whether it be rattling antlers, bleat, whatever call for deer season, what would it be and why would you do that?
Ooh, that's tough, man. I don't know. I guess I'd be in between a grunt call and rattling antlers, but I guess I would probably say rattling antlers just because there's been so many times I've grunted that deer and they look at you and they keep going. But,
yep.
But sure. You hit them with the antlers and they're coming.
For sure. And if you had one state to be able to only hunt in for the rest of your life for whitetails, what would it be?
Well, definitely not Michigan.
Come on, man.
Oh, no, I don't know. I would have to say I'm learning Missouri, Iowa. I don't know. I guess I haven't hunted Iowa yet, but what I can see just driving around, Iowa is just the holy grail.
Yep.
That's kind of what I would say, Iowa.
Well, hopefully I'll have a better answer for you this year. And so, like you said, your buddy Matt is going to be hunting there. I'm going to be hunting there for the first time this year, and I'm super stoked, so I can't wait.
That's awesome, man. I got 1 point, so I'm a few years out.
Yep, there you go. Well, good dude, man. I want to, thank you for coming on and doing this. I appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your Monday to do this, and maybe we can stay in contact. And I'm trying to do a series this fall where I want to every week get a guy or two on for like 15 minutes just to see where they're at. If you're in Missouri or something like that, give you a call and say, hey, where's the rut at? What's the deer movement like? And it's kind of like a little deer report in a way. So I might hit you back up this fall sometime and see if you want to do that.
Yeah, man, that'd be awesome. Especially, me in Missouri, Matt in Iowa. We got Nick's going to be in Kentucky, Ryan's in Illinois. We got guys back in Michigan. We're just our team. We're all over the Midwest, so that'd be great.
For sure, man. We'll stay in touch, and again, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
I am natural.